This is Carol Marak at carolmarak.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Solo and Smart. And I'm very excited to introduce you to Margaret Svoboda. Sorry, Margaret. And Margaret serves as the Vice President and Trust Officer at the American National Bank of Texas. She has 26 years in the banking and financial services industry. She joined the Wealth Management Division in 2007, and her focus is administering personal trusts, estates, and retirement accounts. And today's podcast is about ensuring that our legal and financial matters are followed according to our wishes, which is a very significant need for individuals like me who are living alone with very few people to rely on in terms of no spouse potentially, or even no adult children that live nearby them. So Margaret, thank you. And I apologize for butchering your name. I thought I got it right, but I failed.
You did just fine.
So I wanted, if you don't mind, please, if you could speak to the audience about the importance of having a professional oversee one's legal matters.
So
how exactly, there's so many issues around putting together our estate, our legal concerns and addressing them, like healthcare proxy, legal proxy. So how does a trust officer play into the role of overseeing legal and financial matters?
Well, my job as a trust officer, our bank can serve as a corporate executor or a corporate trustee. And as a trust officer, I act on behalf of the bank as the executor of your estate or the trustee of your trust. So what we provide is full attention to your estate needs, continuity, accessibility, impartiality, and experience in all of these areas in order to take care of your estate plan.
Let me ask you, do I need an estate plan? I get so confused about that.
Absolutely, you do. Maybe you don't need an elaborate estate plan, but to avoid any headaches down the road and extra expenses down the road, you absolutely need an estate plan. Some estate planning tools would be things like wills, trusts, and powers of attorneys for both medical and financial needs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yes, you need those.
Okay. And so a bank can serve as a corporate trustee or executor?
A bank that has trust powers, and not all banks do the estate part of it. Some with trust powers only act as trustee. But one thing our bank does is we do both. We act as a corporate executor and as a corporate trustee.
And so what is the benefits of that, of having a corporate executor?
Well, the benefits would be that we would provide continuity. So if you name an individual and the individual predeceases you, then the difference would be if I retire or I predecease you, then there's always going to be someone in my place. As long as the bank has trust powers, there's always going to be someone to take my place. So yeah, that would be the biggest benefit.
Yeah, that would feel more comfortable to me, having a bank stand in for me when I'm unable. Rather than a family member, because some family members, as we've talked about before. So if you could give just a quick overview of the differences, of having a family member really oversee your estate or your trust.
Okay. So a family member, again, could predecease you, or if
Yeah.
they're the same age as you are, they may not be up to the task
Mhm.
of administering or acting as your executor or trustee. It's also not usually their area of expertise, um, because you are personally responsible when you act as a executor or trustee. You have a fiduciary responsibility to act on behalf of that person. And most family members or individuals, since this isn't their area of expertise, they're just not equipped for that task.
Yeah, I believe that. As a matter of fact, I often thought, I shouldn't have a family member being my healthcare proxy because I truly believe that my sisters would have a hard time letting me go, pulling the plug, so to speak,
Sure,
even if I wanted to.
sure.
What about a professional advisor like an attorney or CPA? Would they be a good fit in this role, a good person or a professional person to fit here?
Sometimes, a lot of times, um, they can administer their own area of discipline,
Hmm.
but they have to contract for other services. Um, there's a risk with personal conflicts, or they again could uh, predecease you, and so your efforts are lost there if they predecease you. This also may not be their area of expertise, um, and they can also make decisions involving payments for their own professional services, and have other roles as the administrator. So again, while they can serve in that capacity, this may not be their area of expertise,
Right.
as well.
Okay. Okay. I have we've spoken before, and I've told you about some of the horror stories that I have heard about individuals who were taken advantage of by some agencies who were really created to protect older Americans. And I just can't believe how that can slip through the cracks, and we fall into these scams even by that's set up by agencies, and that's so scary. So I'm curious, and of course, no names to be mentioned, but what stories can you give us as a warning sign that really occurred maybe with one or two of your own clients, which illustrate why we should be very careful about those that we render our faith to?
So we were contacted by one of our bank representatives about a customer who was living in an apartment complex, and she was being taken advantage of by her neighbor. And what I mean by that is the neighbor had coerced her into changing her estate plan to name the neighbor and her daughter as the beneficiary of her estate. So the bank representative contacted our department to assist the customer in getting her documents corrected to name a charity, which was her intention all along. Our bank was named as her corporate trustee executor in her estate planning documents, and um, she ultimately moved into an assisted living facility where she later passed away. We went to the facility to find her original documents and plan for her funeral. And upon our arrival, we were met by an employee of the facility who took us to the client's room. We told the employee what we were looking for. We needed her original estate planning documents to plan her funeral. So the employee then said something that was odd to us, and she said, "I wouldn't be surprised if she, the customer, had changed those documents." And of course, we thought, no, she's already changed them, and everything has been completed. So during our search, we found a new will had been executed,
Wow.
and it named this particular employee that we were speaking with as the sole beneficiary of this person's estate. So I say all that to say that if our bank had not been involved in this process, this assisted living employee would have succeeded in taking advantage of this customer.
Wow.
So that's the best reason I can tell you to name a corporate executor or trustee.
Well, I've heard other stories myself.
Sure.
It's unbelievable to me how we really can't trust just anyone.
Sure.
I had a conversation with a geriatrician once. His name is Dr. Bill Thomas, who is he's really renowned in the nursing home type of industry. And he's just a fabulous person. But we had a conversation once and he said, Carol, you do not want strangers taking care of you. And, so that really plugged it in my head to really start preparing early on while I can,
Sure.
before I am stuck and scrambling without my full mental capacity.
Right.
So knowing some of these horror stories, are there any recommendations that you can leave with us, especially people who might be living alone or, growing older alone? And even if they have a spouse, the spouse may not be able to take care of either one of you. So
Right.
do you have any last words of hope and suggestions?
I do. Do your research. There are so many resources available. There are senior resources and there are care manager companies that are licensed and bonded that can help you determine what the best fit for you is. Do you need a senior living facility? Do you need an assisted living facility? Our bank can serve as a corporate executor and corporate trustee and to help in any of those things to facilitate. Certainly we don't act as your medical power of attorney, but we certainly can help you get in the right direction, if you need the help.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Now you only serve the Central Texas area, or because I know you're in Rockwall, is that right?
Our corporate office, our corporate trust office is in Rockwall, but we have banking centers all over the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex.
Okay.
And I travel to those banking centers and meet clients all the time. And I have clients all over the state of Texas. So even down in Houston, in other parts of, we even have clients with the national banking charter. We can serve clients outside of the state of Texas,
Okay.
but most of our business is done inside the state of Texas.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Margaret. And for you listeners, if you're interested in speaking with Margaret, that's Margaret Svoboda, and that's Svoboda. And she's the vice president and trust officer at the American National Bank of Texas. And her office is located in Rockwall. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much for this information because it's so important. And I just want to get messages like this out to individuals who need to prepare. I think we all need to start planning as soon as possible.
I agree.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.